All right, new this morning, we told you last week that an employee with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has tested positive for coronavirus.
MCSO officials, the Sheriff's Office officials, say the employee works at headquarters in downtown Phoenix, and today that building was scheduled to reopen after a very deep cleaning there. So here to talk to us about that process is Maricopa County Sheriff Paul Penzone. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and I hope you guys don't mind, but before we start, just like to offer our condolences and just unwavering support to the
Yeah, it's a very sad story to start this morning.
Community.
Yeah, I'll never understand it as long as I live, Sheriff. You're so right about that.
Sheriff, the big question is how safe are your corrections officers and the people who work in these facilities?
I wish I could answer that question for you. I think it's just reflective of what's going on across the world. Our detention officers, first and foremost, work in a closed environment with a high population and a considerable amount of interaction. So we're doing everything that we can to give them PPE gear, which is obviously a premium right now, difficult to come by, to create an environment where we can reduce interaction, but to recognize that in our industry, we don't have the luxury of being able to just shut down and call it a day. We have a responsibility for public safety, along with the health safety issue, to do the best we can to continue to provide this, this critical service on behalf of the community.
Sheriff, that's a tough decision because obviously the deputies, I mean, they're within, contact with humans as they deal with them out on the streets. I mean, how do they go about doing their jobs but remain safe?
Courage, and understanding that they have to do what others are unwilling or, incapable of doing during these times. We've taken some steps to try to reduce the inmate population, because by reducing the population, if we have to isolate inmates because they show symptoms, then we have more space to do so. So normally our population is right around 7,500. It can fluctuate from 7,500 to 8,500 inmates at any given day of the year. Right now we're in about mid-6,000s, and it's because of other agencies supporting our effort to issue citations when possible, or long-form cases that don't involve a suspect who is an immediate threat to safety to the community in their misdemeanor offenses. So we're looking for ways to just reduce the population, suspended work, furlough work, release. Those are inmates that come and go from our jails on a daily basis, and they can then obviously if they're infected, bring it back into the jail system. So we're just taking all the steps that are within our control, recognizing that this crisis is out of control.
All right, Sheriff, one more question. Because of the nature of the business you're in, and because you can't you can't change the way you do things too much, have you gotten any real specific concerns from the people who work in the facilities? What are they saying to you specifically about keeping themselves safe?
Well, absolutely. We actually created a working group when this, when the inception of this issue, where our employees are actually at the table once a week. I think at the table virtually once a week. And it's from all levels of the organization and all different assignments, so civilian, sworn, and detention. Let's not forget that our officers, our deputies, are all directly in contact with the community. So they bring their concerns to us on a regular basis, and we try to resolve or at least answer each one of those issues. But ultimately, there are stakeholders that are our most important assets in the organization. The job that they do is critical to everyone's safety, so they have to be heard. So whenever they come up with a recommendation, right now we have pantries in all the locations to provide basic needs for families that are within the organization. We're taking steps to add additional PPE gear. We're trying to reduce interactions as much as possible, but we also recognize, again, that a lot of things are outside of our control. We still have a job to do.
And Sheriff, Arizona is not under mandatory quarantine right now, but if that were to ever happen, what would the Sheriff's Department's role be in that?
I think we may have lost him.
Out and about.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We've got you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Our deputies out on the streets would take on a new responsibility, and it's just educating and finding a way through, I'll call it a gentle enforcement, to remind the community that interaction or leaving your home as infrequent as possible is the key, when only for essential reasons, and making sure that we're all invested in this. Listen, public safety and public health is everyone's responsibility. We all have to be thoughtful. We can't be reckless in these circumstances. We have to understand that crime still goes on, so our deputies' priority should be affecting issues of crime. But if we have to address public health concerns, then we'll get involved in that lane also.